Good evening, and welcome to this virtual version of our Wednesday evening Lenten services, Holy Surprise. So surprise! Here we are, coming to you from a video screen this night, but grateful for you to tune in and for us to share together in this time. Our season continues, and our stories will continue as well. To help us frame this, we use this beautiful liturgy from Marty Haugen's Holden Evening Prayer, and it centers us deeply into the story of God, in particular the story of light coming into a darkened world, and this is a time we can use all the light we can find, and so we are grateful that God's presence joins us in this way on this evening. And so we begin. Oh, no, one more word. During our Lenten season, we have been collecting offerings, special offerings dedicated to a variety of ministry partners, both local and globally. We're going to share that information with you, but we invite you to also consider joining us in making a gift to help support these ministries. It's even more important now than ever that we continue to support our partners in this way. You can send your offerings to the church, or you could make a contribution online. Just go to our website, poproseville.org, and in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a button for Make a Gift. Right there, you can make a gift to help support us and the work that we are doing together as we are the church in this time and place.
Good evening. I do have a story to share, and for your listening pleasure, well under 10 minutes. I share this scripted story as a three-part excellent travel adventure. You'll meet three characters here. Part one. Let me set the scene. It's the fall of 2013. An elderly couple, wife and husband, who had both turned 70 years old that year, and with years of marital bliss at that time approaching 50. They are experiencing a European Alpine travel adventure. They had flown to Munich, Germany, rented an SUV, and after some trepidation and nervousness, bounded out of the airport garage and onto the Autobahn. And I can assure you it was a very quick and scary entry indeed. They didn't need to worry about how to get to their destination of Ehrwald in the very southern portion of Germany because they had purchased a Garmin GPS system on the strong recommendation of a well-traveled friend. However, before the expensive purchase, the frugal and somewhat stubborn husband was content to just have some good maps. After all, he had been a Boy Scout. The husband was the fearless driver, and the wife served as the excellent navigator. That said, the calm female voice of Carmen the Garmin, as the couple came to refer to her, had them going in just the correct direction and on the fastest route to Garmisch-Partenkirchen and Ehrwald that evening. They came to depend upon Carmen. It was awesome. She always knew where they were and could correct them if they got off track. It was very good. The couple spent 3 days in southern Bavaria, viewing the magnificent rugged mountains and splendid valley landscapes as well as the impressive castles of the area. Then they headed east into Austria with delightful stops in Innsbruck and Bad Reichenhall, and set up base for a few days in the Untersberg Hotel in the Salzburg area. Carmen was very, very good. Trusted and dependable, really indispensable. The fearless driver was impressed. There was much to experience in Salzburg. The couple became very knowledgeable about and close personal friends with Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and also enjoyed the delightful countryside of the von Trapp family and reliving the sound of music. Now part two. It was their last afternoon and evening in the Salzburg area, and our lovable couple decided to travel south to the beautiful Berchtesgaden area. No problem getting there. They knew it might be dark when returning to the Untersberg Hotel, but Carmen would guide them surely and safely. However, on the return, the excellent navigator wife was punching Carmen's buttons, programming the route back to the hotel, and very soon Carmen shared that she was confused and actually unable to locate them. The wife shared that in the dark she may have depressed the default button, but attempted to retrieve Carmen's calm and helpful voice and directions. Well, it became abundantly clear that that wasn't working very well. However, it did remind the husband of a humorous story about the inaugural flight of the Scandinavian Airlines. After an hour or so in the air, the captain, Lars Larsen, was heard on the loudspeaker, "Ladies and gentlemen, I have some good news and some bad news. First, the bad news. We are hopelessly lost. And now the good news. We are making a real good time." Well, needless to say, the wife did not think this was at all funny. Indeed, it was a problem, and Carmen was unable to help. Fortunately, the driver had some sense of direction, followed the North Star, and found the hotel. Remember, he had been a Boy Scout. Well, it was a rather gloomy mood at dinner that night for the worried couple. What were they to do? Should they consider applying for Austrian citizenship? Could anyone be able to help correct the Garmin GPS system? They needed to leave early the next morning for northern Italy. Well, the husband decided to ask the manager at the hotel front desk for possible help and guidance. Because he had successfully completed a conversational German course at the University of Minnesota back in 1960, and this might help with the language barrier. So he approached the manager with his Garmin in his hand and said, "Was ist denn hier los?" Which clearly means, he thought, what is wrong with this? Well, it was very clear from the manager's facial expression that this was not going to be a very productive or helpful communication. Well, the couple felt defeated and depressed, but realized that they would just need to make the best of it and go on with the sun and the stars and maybe a good map to be their guide. Just then, something rather incredible happened. To the right of the couple, a mellow voice was heard to say, "Maybe I can be of some help." There stood a rather young, pleasant-looking man, glasses, missing his right arm, his physical image forever etched in the couple's minds. He shared that his name was Chris, and he worked for the Sony Corporation in the U.S., that he was in the Salzburg area on a work assignment, but also to get in some mountain hiking experience. He further explained that he had been involved in the early development of GPS systems. "Let me see if I can help," he said. He took the Garmin in his left hand, remember, he was missing his right arm and hand, asked briefly about the problem, and proceeded to depress buttons in particular and obviously intended sequence, saying things like, well, you don't need this, and you don't need this, or this. He ultimately concluded that the Garmin had been restored. Clearly a technological savior indeed. Now, where did Chris come from? And how did he know the couple's dilemma? You could not convince the couple that some divine intervention hadn't occurred here. Indeed, a holy surprise. It was a Jesus calling moment. The couple hadn't consciously prayed for this outcome, but the circumstances had to be somehow arranged by someone. Chris had to appear at the hotel lobby at that certain time, see and hear the situation, communicate in English, and just coincidentally, have the knowledge and skill to solve the problem. It became apparent to the grateful couple that this is how God operates. Chris was indeed an angel who lived among us. God uses us, each other, to be a blessing unto each other. He can make that happen. A holy surprise. The couple offered a very intentional prayer of gratitude afterward and had a restful night. Now, part 3. It was morning of the following day. The grateful couple bid adieu to Austria, and they headed south to Italy. With a well-functioning Carmen the Garmin, I might add, and singing How Great Thou Art, a song they had at their wedding. So appropriate, again and again. Now they prayed for safe travel as they continued their excellent Alpine adventure, across northern Italy, through the Dolomite Mountains, St. Moritz, Lake Como, into Switzerland, so enjoying the majestic mountains, restful lakes, rivers, valleys of the Matterhorn, Interlaken, and Lucerne areas. They considered themselves so blessed in mind, body, and spirit to experience the wonders of God's great creation, and this surely reminded them that they and everyone must work to protect all that. They then traveled north back into Germany through Baden-Baden, Heidelberg, and Frankfurt, and they prayed for safe air travel back to the U.S., and again, ever so thankful for their great Alpine adventure and God's holy surprise. And they did have a safe return to 686 Arborgrass Street in Shoreview, and the next Sunday returned to their usual 2 chairs with the Prince of Peace community. Right over there. Thanks for listening.